You are at 5,280 feet, all right? The altitude is real, and so is altitude sickness. So drink plenty of water, more than you think you need to, and if you feel woozy or lightheaded, take it seriously, lay down, and just drink some water, okay? Make sure you always hydrate and rest. It's also very hot and dry if you haven't noticed. And did I mention you need to stay hydrated? So please do us a favor. We do not want to be calling 911 this weekend. So please do that for us, okay? So enough lecturing. We all know that FSHD can really feel like you're kind of on your own little ledge. But this Connect conference is all about finding others that can guide you across that rock face. You're going to hear a lot of references to rock climbing, to rope teams, to finding your connections this weekend. So any kind of silly references you hear, that's the reason. It's not just about the incredible presentations, the incredible panel discussions, and the expert advice you're going to learn about. It's about meeting people who truly understand you. We're here to create connections that you are going to continue long after you leave here on Sunday. You are going to find and develop your rope team, something you're going to learn about building from our keynote speaker, U.S. Army Command Sergeant Major Gretchen Evans, who is with us here today. With that in mind, you will find in the goodie bag that you received at check-in a little carabiner clip. Oh, another reference to rope teams. Imagine that. On here are blank tags. Use them to collect the names and contact information from people that you want to get to know better and stay connected to. Use them to remind yourself that these are the people that you want to be on your rope team, okay? So let's fill up these carabiners this weekend. I want to see some full carabiners with lots of contact information on them by the end of this weekend. You'll also find a Mingle Bingo card with very fun facts on them. There's two versions, a red one and a blue one. But because there were just way too many fun facts from all you people here that we could fit only on one card. So there's two versions of this card, the red one and the blue. So find the person or the people that can initial the squares or multiple squares. And the first 5 people who return their cards to Jenny, where is Jenny? There's Jenny, will win a prize, and we'll announce those on Sunday. All right. Let me get you started. Those that have a red card. Bottom right corner. Who in the room has an orange slice tattoo? Please raise your hand or raise your paddle. Ah, there she is. So introduce yourself to Mary, and you just filled one of your squares. You are welcome. There's also a walk and roll postcard. Check out all the locations that's hosting a walk and roll and get registered. If you don't have a walk and roll near you, register for the virtual walk and roll and just celebrate your way, okay? If you've registered as a team captain already, or you do it before the end of the weekend, you will receive a snazzy, one-of-a-kind team captain walk and roll t-shirt that only team captains get. So if you haven't, we have a walk and roll table out in the lobby. So if you already are currently registered as a team captain, go pick up your t-shirt. And if you wouldn't mind wearing those cool t-shirts tomorrow, we'll take a group photo. All right, we have a wonderful program of kids activities, from a movie night and games to art activities where the kids will actually interact with pharma. On the breakout sessions, you will see arts with something. Anyway, that's for the kids to actually interact with pharma companies. So if there are any young adults or kids here, please make sure you attend that breakout session. They're going to have a trip to the zoo, and we are honestly able to offer this with the support of Solve FSHD. Thank you, Solve, for giving us the opportunity to have all these kids' activities. Special thanks and shout out to Debbie Eggleston and the Van Beek family who coordinate all these kids' activities and are offering that for us. So thank you guys very much. We appreciate you. The young adult meetups, the lunch table, the trip to the mall are all led by Allison, if he's here. And the young adult Zoom group. He runs the young adult Zoom group. So thank you, Zach, wherever you are. Thank you, Zach. All right, take photos. Take lots of photos, old friends, new ones. Post them on social media. We've got hashtags. Hashtag FSHD Connect, hashtag Cure FSHD, and be sure to tag us at the FSHD Society. Our amazing marketing team is here. Wave your hand, Ann. And we will be posting them, reposting them, talking back at you, whatever. Just let's blow up social this weekend. We also have this cool little simple booth outside where you can also take pictures. This coming Thursday is World FSHD Day. Woo! So we've provided some orange themed props so that you can use those and really blow up social media on the 20th. We thank Simple Booth for this. They provided the photo station. They're actually a local company that we in the Colorado chapter and we at the Colorado Rock and Roll have been blessed with them supporting us for many years. So thank you, Simple Booth. Also, I want everyone now to take a look at the camera guy, Philip, and we are giving a shout out now to everyone joining us virtually this weekend. Hi! We have over 100 people online all over the world joining us via live stream this weekend. So welcome. Our virtual planning team really worked hard to ensure that these folks have a great online experience. So I want to give a special shout out. I'm looking at you, Greg Lichtenstein, Renee Beaker, Marissa Spain, for really taking on and planning the virtual breakout sessions. Thanks, you guys. You're the best. Okay, I've got a note from Jess. Those of you that attended IRC on Thursday and Friday and have not checked in to get your new badge for the weekend, please do so, or else you can't come to dinner tonight. So that's what you get. I have a PSA announcement from one of our OGs. If you aren't familiar with the term OG, it's an original gangster. And we have a lot of OGs here of FSHD this weekend with us. One of them is Dr. Robin Fitzsimmons. Robin, if you could please stand up and make yourself known. So here's a quick PSA from Robin. A very small number of FSHD patients, particularly, but not exclusively, very young patients, have a very treatable form of visual threat caused by leakage from the retinal blood vessels at the back of the eye. So Dr. Fitzsimmons has All right, what do I have left? Okay, one last bit of housekeeping that I have. We have two research studies happening this weekend at the same time. Dr. Suja Jagannathan and her team are next door. They are doing a biomarker study. We asked folks to pre-register for a blood draw, but they have many slots open. So if you are open and willing and able, please visit the University of Colorado team right next door. They will gladly take your blood. We are taking affected and non-affected folks. It's for a very important biomarker study for FSHD. So please visit them. They'll be taking blood today between 10 and 6 and tomorrow between 10 and 12. And then Dr. Lowe's is also conducting a movement study, which will indicate endpoints for FSHD clinical trials. Also a very They'll be in here, and then back on Sunday morning, they'll be back in Colorado Ballroom A and B. They still have open slots. If you are willing and able, please participate in these two very important studies. They are just really excited to have so many people in one room at one time that can help us out. So there we go. Paddles. There are paddles on the table. For those of you unable to raise your arm and you have questions, please use these tablets to not only fan yourself, but also to make yourself known for Q&A sessions, all right? I think that does it. That's it for housekeeping. Now, I'd like to welcome to the stage our very own president and CEO of the FSHD Society, Mr. Mark Stone.
I don't know about you, but anytime family gets together, we do a family photo. So, you know, here you go. Gotta watch out or I'll walk off the end of the stage. Okay, let me get this part. No, it's not done. I've missed all these people over here. There we go. All right. Thanks for humoring me. I don't know what order to do these things in. Let me first welcome you. Good morning.
Good morning.
You are a part of the largest gathering of family, friends, and individuals living with FSHD. This is a historic moment. Yeah, give yourself a hand. And while you are a part of this historic event, you are also a part of a community that is changing the world forever for yourselves, for your families, and almost 1 million people worldwide. This is an exciting moment. This is a moment to celebrate, and we will be celebrating for some time to come, but excitement is here. You are in for a treat from start to finish, sun up to sun up. Yes, I said that. It's exciting. A couple of weeks ago, I had the privilege of representing you, the families and friends that have become so dear and near to me, in speaking to almost 300 individuals at a biotech that's working on a treatment for FSHD. And I want to share with you how I started my talk. I said, I wish you could travel with me for just a month and meet some of the most optimistic and innovative and creative and dedicated people I know. Of people who, despite a disease that they and now their children have inherited, face the challenges of the day with an overcomer spirit and innovative action. Of people who, despite a disease that has left them disabled to some degree, choose each day to focus on what they can do and what they do have, instead of what they can't do and what they've lost. You would meet a people who, despite a relentlessly progressive disease that robs them not just of some quality of life, but their sense of future, remain invested, engaged, and hopeful amidst an uncertainty that looms over them sometimes each day. A people, the community of families living with FSHD that are helping to rewrite medical journals and standards of care through their sacrifice, involvement, and impact. That's you. Give yourself another hand. You are making a world of difference for yourselves and people around the world. And let me tell you that while you are the heroes of this story, I want to introduce you, and I want to take some executive privilege here to introduce you to some individuals whose expertise, talent, and giftedness is only eclipsed by their love for our community and their passion to do their part in speeding treatments to our families. As several on our team are new since we met together in Orlando in 2022, they are excited to embrace and be embraced by this community, people that I have the privilege of calling family. So staff, when I just call the team that you work in every day, stand up. I'm not going to read your name, but these are amazing people. Our community engagement team, stand up. They work with our chapters, they work with our walks, they work with volunteers, they work in getting you engaged and involved, because that empowers our families. When they take that step, even timidly, they get empowered. Shoot, every time I look down on my phone, it goes black. Our research and care team, stand up. They're small but mighty in the back. They are creating things like Better Life FSHD and the Navigator program and all of these things that are helping reduce the time and lower the thresholds to getting treatments to our families faster. Our development team, this is a new team since 2022. Stand up, Carolyn and Chelsea. We realize and recognize that basically I was the only one doing that. And while you were pretending to be cared for and I was pretending to care for you, we didn't have enough hands and we didn't have enough hearts. And so they are a part of those hands and hearts that are going to help certainly our donors and be stewarded well and cared for and loved and empowered. Our marketing and awareness team. Beth called them out earlier. Many of you have seen, and maybe you are here because of their efforts. They take our concepts and they make them not just readable, but understandable and engaging and motivating, and I appreciate them. And finally, a team that, except for one member, really can't be here because somebody's got to hold down the fort while we're here at a family reunion. And that's our administration and finance team. And I want to call out just one person because she is responsible for all the pleasant things that you will enjoy this weekend, and that's Jess Carter. Come on, wave your hands. Amazing. There is 5 million details to an event like this because not only are we meeting, we just had over 200, about 150 to 200 people at a research and patient or a clinician conference. And then we had another meeting, and then we're going to have another meeting after this. And it's a whole series of 6 or 7 days of probably 25 different meetings. And she's handled it all, and she handles it with a wonderful smile. So I celebrate her in particular. I just want you to know that the FSHD Society is built on purpose for a purpose. And that purpose is to speed the delivery of effective treatments and a cure to our families faster. That is all we do. And with love and impatience in our hearts, we do it on your behalf and for you, but we also do it with you. We are journeying with you. So thank you for being here. It's my pleasure. Now it's my pleasure to introduce a very, very special person. Command Sergeant Major Gretchen Evans. She's going to kick off this time as our keynote speaker to the Connect Conference 2024. And while her bio is outlined in the program, I want to make some personal comments. They are just a few, but they are from my heart. I can put my phone away. I was thinking about what to say as I introduced her. And I could have read her bio to you. I could have read some interesting facts and figures. And she is engaging, and you will be impacted for life. That's all true. But what I have seen, and I am a very good and quick judge of an individual. It suddenly hit me during a quiet time that I had about 5:30 yesterday morning as I was thinking about this moment. And I was thinking about Gretchen, and I was thinking about her speaking to our Volunteer Leadership Summit a couple of years ago. And I recognized her incredible, illustrious military service, and that she had given her life to defend the country, to lead to lead our troops into battle, to keep them safe, to bring as many home as she could, and the sacrifice and commitment that she made in the military. But then I very quickly recounted that her life of service only was enlarged in her platform now, and that she literally has continued and deepened and broadened that life of service. And you will be amazed. She is the personification of service to a community to help us all be stronger, be better, be braver, be more courageous, lean into, not away from. And she has impacted millions, and we are incredibly privileged to have her here to do the same for us. Before she comes, we're going to play a little video about her, and then she'll come up and be our speaker.
I talked to the troops. I said, we have a decision to make. We can stay right here and try to hold until we get reinforcements, or we can try to make it to the top of the mountain, which would be better. Terrain for us to defend ourselves. The decision is mine to make. And I decided we were going to try to get to the top of the mountain. The enemy was pursuing us. And we finally got to the top. We decided that was going to be our last stand. And I kept radioing back and said, okay, now I'm at the top of the mountain and they're coming and I'm low on ammo and this is not looking good to me. So we laid down and we took our magazines and we stacked them. And we said, okay, bring it. And then I heard it before I ever saw it, that beautiful sound of a helicopter. It's Apaches, you know, still makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up, flew over us, you know, and fired those missiles into those enemy troops that had been pursuing us and took care of that. And as we're pulling away, I thought to myself, I just spent a lifetime on that mountain. I left 3 men on that mountain. And actually, I left part of myself on that mountain. I went to the pilot and I said to him, thank you for saving us. And he goes, Sergeant Major, we were listening to you all morning on the radio. We were not going to leave you on that mountain. And I just said, thank you. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. I really do. And he goes, that's my job. That's what I do.
Gretchen Evans' courage and leadership was tested that day in Afghanistan. And yet, there would be many more difficult days ahead. 6 months after that mission, she found herself in harm's way again. As she commanded her troops to take cover, a mortar blast threw her against a bunker head first. She'd survive, but be placed in a medically induced coma.
On the day that they decided to wake me up, a young Army doctor was standing right next to my bed. We had a dry erase board, and he was writing on it with a marker. And he waved to me like this to get my attention. And he flipped it over, and he wrote the words, "You're deaf." And so I took the board from him, and I wiped it off with my hand. And I wrote the word "forever" and showed it to him, and he nodded his head.
Her 27-year military career, spanning her entire adult life, was over. Diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury and severe PTSD along with her deafness, her re-entry into the civilian world became an all-too-familiar veteran's tale.
And all of a sudden, I had to shift into a world that I didn't understand and had not been a part of. I felt worthless because I didn't think I could contribute anything to life anymore, and I wanted to die. The way I was dealing with the grief was I ran and I ran and I ran to obsession. I was running 12, 13, 14 miles a day. I wasn't eating. I was trying to disappear.
One day out on the road, Gretchen was struck and nearly killed by a cyclist she couldn't hear coming.
He threw me into traffic. I can still remember smelling that burned rubber. One of my doctors looked me right in the face and he said to me, "Gretchen, you can't do the things you used to do anymore. You've changed." And I felt like there was this door was closing. And if I didn't stick my foot in this closing door, I was going to lose my life. And I thought, no, I want my life back.
On the brink of giving up hope, Gretchen reached out to an organization called America's Vet Dogs, a group that provides service dogs to veterans living with disabilities.
I wrote an email to them and said, I have a traumatic brain injury. I'm deaf. I have severe PTSD. Can you help me? And I hit send. An email pops up. There was one word on that email. Yes.
I never held my hand out and asked for something free. I don't need you to lower the bar for me.
I got the coolest set of ears you could ever imagine.
All throughout her recovery, Gretchen relied closely on a support system she thought of as a rope team, a military reference dictating that if one member of a group falls down, the others tied together pick them back up to continue on their journey, all together.
As you go through the highs and the lows of your life, everybody should have a rope team. You almost can't survive without one.
So with the help of new friends and old, Gretchen began her road back. She found a number of veterans organizations and soon began doing what she'd always done best, lead.
I felt like a sergeant major all over again. I just didn't wear the same uniform. I wore this, but I was still helping people be successful in their life.
In the years since, Gretchen has become a face of the veterans advocacy movement. She repurposed her passion, running, competing in more than 30 marathons and forming Team Unbroken, a group of veteran and civilian athletes with disabilities who take part in adventure races all over the world.
To cement who we are as a team and that we're not quitters.
I'm broken and it's beautiful. I'm broken and it's beautiful. I'm broken and it's beautiful. Yes!
They've raised tens of thousands of dollars for veterans organizations and have tied themselves together as a new rope team. Wounded, perhaps, but very much unbroken.
Bye, guys. Do hard things. Learn what grit can do for you, because it's a feeling deep down inside of here when you think you've taken your last step, that you still can take 10 more. And once you do that, it can propel you so far.
I'm broken and it's beautiful. I'm broken and it's beautiful.
Thank you very much. Please, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't tell you how incredibly happy I am to be here. Beth invited me back. I got to spend some time with you 2 years ago, and it was the highlight of my year. And you guys feel like family to me for lots of reasons, and always feel welcome here. And what I want to do today is just share part of my journey with you, and perhaps you can find some golden nuggets that will help you along your journey, and we can talk about it together as friends and people who are inspired by hope. So as you saw in the video, I spent 27 years in the United States Army and rose to the rank of Command Sergeant Major, which is the highest rank a non-commissioned officer can hold. And over my 27 years, I had 9 combat tours. My first one was in Grenada, and my last one was in Afghanistan. And, you know, I had seen a lot of trauma in my career. But my love for serving my country, of doing something beyond myself, and the love I had for the young men and women who were in my charge was the best career I could have ever had for myself. It fulfilled something deep inside of me. And you know, that term in service goes back way back to the days in the World War II, when people would come up to someone and say, "What did you do?" And they would say, "Well, I'm in the service." And what that means is that you're doing something to serve others. And so that was important to me. So as you know, I got wounded, severely wounded. I'm going to just give you a little bit of background on that. So we were towards the end of our tour in Afghanistan. That happened to be my 3rd tour into Afghanistan. And we had been in country about 2 years, and we were getting ready to start funneling troops home. And we call this right seating in the military. So you just don't pick up 30,000 troops and put them on airplanes and send them out of country. You have to do it little by little as the new unit and the new troops are coming in. And it's like, just like when you're teaching your child how to drive for the first time, you don't put them behind the wheel of the car, right? You put them in the right seat so they can watch you and they can learn, and you can tell them about traffic and all the kinds of things that you need to know to become a driver. So as the new unit is coming in, we're literally putting them in vehicles with us and in helicopters and airplanes with us in the right seat. And we're showing, let us show you the lay of the land. Let us try to tell you where the strongholds are, where our weaknesses are, so that we can better prepare you to take over in country. And in the same time, I'm starting to send my troops home. We call it the short timers attitude, okay? And statistically, we lose more soldiers, and I use that term generically for anybody who served, in the last 30 days of their deployment than we do any other time. And since this wasn't my first rodeo, I was prepared for this. I was starting to see calendars pop up on the sides of tents with lines drawn through the dates. They were counting down the days until they could go home and see babies that had been born that they hadn't met yet, to get married for fiancés that were waiting for them, to go home to their children who've been missing them for the last 2 years of their life, to mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and dogs and all the things that we love that are on the other side of where we were. And people do ask me all this questions sometimes. How do you motivate these young men and women to get up and put their lives on the line day after day after day? And it's really this simple. It's for us in the military, I would say, and I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for a good part of them because I spent time with them. It's never about politics. It's never about land. It's never about oil. It's never about culture. It's never about any of that. What gets us up every day to continue to do what we do, to put our life on the line every day, is the address on our driver's license. It's our home address. Whether it be Colorado or Kansas or Texas or Illinois or wherever it is. You see, there's someone we love that lives at that home address, and we're all fighting for that. We're trying to keep evil at bay so it doesn't come home. That's what motivates us. We are protecting this because we love this. Everything about it, and everybody who lives within our country, we care about it, and so deeply that it's enough to motivate us to put ourselves at risk, and it's an honor to do so. So on this particular day, I was flying to a very remote forward operating base. We call it a FOB. And this particular base had been on the tip of the spear the whole time we were in country, and they had got rocketed almost every night. And I wanted to go out there specifically to tell these men and women how proud I was of them for defending and holding that critical piece of terrain that was there. And so I flew in with a helicopter. I hopped out of my helicopter, and all the troops are coming out, and I'm shaking my hand, and I'm telling them, guys and gals, we're so close to going home, you can almost smell the apple pie. But we're still in a very dangerous place, and I need you to keep your head on a swivel, because until I put you on an airplane that's going to take you home, we have to be careful. And I had just gotten those words out of my mouth when all of a sudden we started receiving gunfire, and it was coming in like rain, and it was peppering us. And when you're in a small confined place and people are shooting at you from 5 miles away, there's nothing that you can do at that present moment except you send out your quick reaction force, which is up armored Humvees with Mark 19s mounted and machine guns. And they go and they try to find whoever it is that's firing these rockets at us. And the rest of us that are there on the ground, our job is to get into the bunkers until the attack is stopped, so that we don't get killed by these incoming rockets. So I'm yelling to my troops to get into these bunkers, and they're shaped like igloos, and they're reinforced with sandbags to try to deflect in case there's a direct hit. And I'm yelling to the troops, get in the bunkers, get in the bunkers. But before I could get myself into a bunker, a round landed to my right. And in this cacophony of noise, with people yelling and screaming and rockets landing and all kinds of things that were going on, I heard that round hit. And I knew my brain processed this information very quickly. And it said to me, Gretchen, if you can hear that round hit, it is too close. And it's going to detonate. And this is not going to be good. And when it did detonate, it was not good. This happened to be a homemade round, and it had razors and screws and feces in it. And when it detonated, it threw up all that earth that was above it and all the shrapnel that this rocket was made out of, and it threw the screws and the razor blades 100,000 miles an hour at a radius that you can't even describe. Standing next to me were 3 soldiers who were part of what I call my personal security detachment, and they had been in country with me the whole 2 years. And their job was to make sure that I didn't get captured or killed. And they were standing next to me this day. And when that rocket had blasted, they took the brunt of that blast, and it killed all 3 of them instantly. The eyewitnesses said to me, Sergeant Major, that blast took you and it picked you up and it threw you horizontal until my head hit first into one of those concrete bunkers. And even though I had a Kevlar on, that was quite an impact. I don't remember anything else. I was meted back to Bagram Air Force Base and then sent on the hospital bird that takes the wounded to Johnston Army Medical Center in Germany. And like I said, I was put into a coma for a couple of days while they did an evaluation of all of my injuries. And then on the day that they woke me up, the young doctor that was standing next to my bed, and he had the dry erase board. And when he flipped it over and told me that I was deaf, and then when I wrote on it the word forever, and he nodded his head. And at that moment, that very second that he did that, I knew one thing for sure, that my military career, the thing that I loved most in life, the thing that I was good at, the thing that I had been doing since I was 19 years old, my entire adult life had been spent in the military. What got me up every day to put on the uniform and lead my troops and protect my country, that I would no longer be able to do that, because with the extent of my injuries, I knew that I was going to be out-processed of the military. And that, my friends, was what almost killed me, not the injuries. It was the loss of the thing that I loved to do, my identity. I was no longer going to be a command sergeant major in the United States Army. And I went from being that to a patient in a hospital in a millisecond. And I wasn't prepared for it, and it almost killed me. So I was sent to Walter Reed to start my rehabilitation. I was no longer wearing the uniform anymore. I was now in hospital clothes in a place I was unfamiliar with. I was no longer a command sergeant major. I was now a patient. I can count on one hand the amount of days that I had spent in a hospital before I was sent to Walter Reed. 3 of them were giving birth to my child. The other 2 for minor surgeries that happened to me. All of a sudden, I was inundated with doctors and nurses and people prodding and probing me, and I was wounded from the inside out. I didn't know who I was or what I was going to be able to do, and none of the news was good in the beginning. As you know, when you first get diagnosed, it's all bad news. Okay, I was deaf. I couldn't hear. I couldn't communicate with people. I had a traumatic brain injury. I couldn't have a linear thought. And there I was 2 days before leading 30,000 troops in Afghanistan and managing $1 billion budget and bringing in logistics. And now I couldn't remember the order of the day unless someone wrote it down for me. Little pieces of shrapnel were still working their way out of my body. My face was all messed up. And I'm not a vain woman, but really taking a piece to the face, as you know, it's just part of who you are. And I gradually began to lose myself and my self-worth. And I couldn't find passion and purpose in just getting healed. There was so much that was unknown. And this is the best analogy that I can give to you to kind of tell you how I felt. And maybe it's how you felt when you first got your diagnosis. If everybody in here has seen The Wizard of Oz, right? We're all pretty familiar with that. If you think about The Wizard of Oz and that group of people, that rope team of Dorothy and the lion and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and even little Toto, and they get thrown into Oz and they're on the yellow brick road and they all are trying to get to the destiny, to get the things that they have lost. Dorothy wants to go home, the Scarecrow wants a brain, the Tin Man wants a heart, and the lion wants his courage back. And they're doing everything they can to go to the Emerald City to see Oz to get these things. And throughout this whole journey, the evil, wicked witch of the West, by the way, that's not a children's movie. That is a scary show, okay? She does everything in her power to thwart them. Just like us, as we find out what our diagnosis is, and we're on that yellow brick road trying to get to what the new life is going to look like, and we get all these speed bumps in our ways with things that are unknown, and maybe even people who are trying to help, but maybe it's not helpful, and we just don't know. We can't find our way. The last scene that you'll see in The Wizard of Oz is that they have gotten rid of, they think, the Wicked Witch of the West, and they can see Oz. It's right there. It's glowing. And then there's the poppy field, and they're so excited because they're going to get their dreams are all going to come true now. And they're skipping arm in arm down that yellow brick road. And all of a sudden, that Wicked Witch of the West looks in that little crazy glass ball of hers, and she decides she's going to deploy those mean-ass monkeys. Those are scary creatures, okay? I'd rather face the Taliban than those monkeys. Those monkeys are mean, okay? So the monkeys fly, and what do? They attack the weakest link of that rope team, which is the Scarecrow. And if you remember the scene, they attack him, and they unstuff him, and they take his straw, and they throw it all over the road, and they throw it into the bushes, and they totally unstuff him, so that the scene that you see is the Scarecrow laying there with just his clothes and his head, and he is immobilized. He cannot get up. He has been unstuffed. He cannot restuff himself. He's immobilized. Isn't that what happens to us? We get our diagnosis and our illness, and we become unstuffed. We start losing pieces of ourselves, of who we were, our careers, the things that we used to enjoy, the sports activities that we like to do. And little by little, as we go through this process of our diagnosis and trying to figure out what's next, we leave little pieces of stuffing all over the place. And for me, the stuffing was in Grenada, and it was in Panama, and it was in Somalia, and it was in Bosnia, and it was in Kosovo, and it was in Iraq, and it was in Afghanistan. I'd left stuffing all over the world because of the traumas that I had been through and the things that I had seen and the sacrifices that not only I made, but the people that I made. I had been unstuffed. I could not restuff myself. I had to ask for help. And so my whole frame of mind changed. And instead of being maybe that little bit of a resistance patient of thinking, there's nothing you can do to me, that attitude you have, there's nothing you can do to me, I'm never going to hear again. You can't fix my brain. This is not fixable. I have PTSD. I'm going to have to live with this for the rest of my life. All of a sudden, my mind frame was able to change a little bit. And I sat down with my doctors and my nurses and my caregivers and my friends and my family and started to saying, help me find my new passion and purpose in life. This is what it is now. What can I do with this? And again, it's not what I can't do, but it is what can I do with these new set of circumstances that have been given to me. And all of a sudden, I wasn't inward looking, but I was outward looking. And I was going through all the units at Walter Reed, and I was encouraging others. I said, we need to figure out how to live our best life with the circumstances that we have under here. Yes, you lost your arms and your legs and part of your brain and whatever else you might have lost in this. But, I'll tell you that one thing that rocket did not touch, that rocket did not touch my soul and my heart. It took a lot from me, but it didn't touch that. So deep down inside, I'm still Gretchen. I'm still really Command Sergeant Major Evans, because that is not a uniform. That is a way of life. So maybe I wasn't in uniform anymore. And yes, people looked at me like I was broken, because I looked like I was broken. I had all kinds of things wrong with me. Lots of my injuries are visible and lots of my injuries are not, just like you. There are some that are invisible, and sometimes the invisible ones are the hardest ones to deal with because nobody sees them. So I was living with anxiety, and I was living with depression and suicidal ideation. I was living with hopelessness. All these things that happen when your life changes on a dime. But bit by bit, by building my rope team, I began to get my life back. And here's what a rope team really can and will do for you. And like I said on the video, I think you cannot almost live without one. And if you don't have one, then I suggest that you get one. And these things that you guys gave, this is fabulous. These little things should have a name on them. And the first name I want you to put on is mine. I am on your rope team. I will be there for you in any way that I can as we navigate this journey together as people who are now people of mixed abilities. I really don't like the word, if I can say this, the word disability, because the way I look at this, for every ability that I lost, I added one. So I no longer could hear, but I learned to lip read. My brain didn't quite work the way that it used to, but I found ways to work around that. All the things that I gave up, my PTSD mitigate some things that I can do, but I learned to work with my symptoms and to mitigate them the best that I can do. So little by little, I was getting my life back. Did it look exactly the same? No, but I'm going to tell you honestly, like your CEO just said, by golly, I think my life got better, believe it or not. Because I had to reach deep down inside of me and engage my grit and say to me, I want my life back. And there will be naysayers. Like I said, I had a doctor look me in the face and tell me you cannot do the things that you used to do because you have changed and you are disabled. And I tell you, those words could not have been more wrong. But also, those were the very words that woke me up out of that, oh my gosh, I've just lost the life that I love. No, I didn't lose the life that I love. I have totally gotten the life back that I love, and I'm living it to the best of my ability. So when in the military, we have real rope teams, and we use them for safety and for all kinds of reasons. But if you're traversing terrain that's treacherous, let's say you're climbing up the ridge line of a mountain, we literally tie ourselves to each other so that should you happen to fall, you don't fall to your death. You don't fall all the way down the mountain. You just fall a small way. Because the rest of your rope team, we pick in until you can stand back up. The same thing when we're fording a river. Okay, you're walking through the river. We tie ourselves to each other in case somebody slips and falls. They don't get washed down to the river and maybe die or get captured by the enemy. No, they only fall a little way because we're going to stand there with our trekking poles or whatever until that person can get back up. It's a great metaphor for life because we all get kicked to the curb in life. More than once. But if you're tied to other people, who are walking the journey with you, who have your best interest at heart, that are going to be with you, you're not going to fall all the way down. You're just going to slip a little bit. And they're going to stand with you until you can get back up and continue on your path to live your best life. It's what's on our shirts. This is the rope team, and the knots represent the people who are on our rope team, and the arrow represents that we're constantly moving forward in the life that we want to live, giving it our all and our best, knowing that in the back of our minds that whatever I face, I've got a rope team that's going to help me get through it. And what I love most about rope teams is the reciprocal. Sometimes you're the person on the ground because you've slipped, you've hit a speed bump, you've got bad news, something has happened. But sometimes you're the person who's picking in for somebody else, and there's not a better feeling in the world than to help somebody else get up when they've been kicked to the curb. It's a beautiful feeling to be on that rope team, to say, I got you. You're not alone. We're going to do this together. If you think about the American bison, it is the only animal in the wilderness that turns and moves towards a storm. When a storm starts coming across the plains of South Dakota and Colorado and Wyoming and all these places, and the animals know the storm is coming well before the weatherman knows it's coming. They know, and they start fleeing to avoid the storm. But the American bison, do you know what he or she does? They turn and they walk towards the storm, knowing that by facing the storm and walking through it, they will get through it quicker. You're not going to outrun the storm. It's going to catch you. All you're going to be is tired running from the storm. When you're faced with the storms in your life, turn into them like the buffalo and go towards the storm with the confidence that you have what it takes to navigate whatever life's going to throw at you, because you have a rope team. One of the mantras of Team Unbroken is this, and we believe this, that is within you is stronger than anything that's in your way. You have it. Grit is not doled out to special people. Everybody gets born with the same amount of grit. You just have to engage it when you need it. And when you need it and you engage it, especially for the first time, then you know, I got this. Does this mean every day is going to be like a picnic? Absolutely not. Does it mean we're not going to get kicked to the curb and have to stay down there? Absolutely not. Does this mean that we're going to fail? Yes. But what does success build on? Failure. So we all know that. It's just a moment in time. It doesn't define you. Another thing we say in Team Unbroken is this: our mixed abilities do not define who we are or what we can accomplish. We get to do this. And the perfect example I can give to you is when Team Unbroken decided we wanted to go compete in the world's toughest race. This was the most elite teams in the world. Incredible athletes. They would do the Ironman to these athletes was like a church picnic. And when I sent our application in for Team Unbroken, there was a little bitty tiny paragraph in the application that says, if you have any injuries, list them here. It was like this big, right? On page 6, after I listed all our injuries and I sent in the application, whoever got that didn't get past that paragraph, and they sent me back an immediate no. What they were doing was they were judging us on the things that they thought we could not do, not on what we could do. And so when I got a no, I wrote back and said, why did you say no? And they said, because you guys are all messed up and you're disabled. And I said, oh, first of all, I think it's illegal for you to say that, okay? Second of all, that's not true. We were all athletes. I had just qualified for Boston in the marathon the week before. Lisa is an incredible athlete. Everybody on Team Unbroken has a life-altering injury, illness, or trauma that's happened to them. We're all incredible athletes considering what's happened to us. But I couldn't get them past the 6 pages of all the things that was wrong with us. And finally I got all, pissy. That's what sergeant majors do. We get snarky, I should say. We get snarky. It's a better word. And I said, take me to your leader. And they did. They took me to Mark Burnett, who was a producer, and Bear Grylls, who was the host, and Kevin Hodder, who was the race director. And they got on a Zoom call with me. And Mark Burnett says to me, Mark was a veteran, and he says to me, Gretchen, I want to say yes to Team Unbroken so bad, but I'm afraid. And I said, Mark, what are you afraid of? And Mark says, I'm afraid you're going to get hurt. We've been blown to smithereens, Mark. Okay, everybody on my team's like missing like several body parts. Okay, we're okay. Are you going to shoot at us? He goes, well, no. Are you going to blow us up? Well, no. I said, then we're good. What I asked, I think this is what you asked too as you walk through your life. All I'm asking is to be put on the same playing field as everybody else, despite what you see are my disabilities. I want on the same playing field. And if I wash out on day one, that's on me. But you don't get to decide what I can and cannot do. I get to decide that. That's my right as a person. And so when I said this to Mark, and he looked at me and he says, well, gosh, Gretchen, when you say it like that, you make me sound like an asshole. And I said, don't be an asshole, Mark. Really? And he wasn't. He said yes. And we went and we competed in the world toughest race among the most elite athletes in the world. Were we the best team there? Absolutely not. Did we give it our all? Yes. And you know what the victory was for us? Not finishing that race was not the victory. The victory for us was opening a door that was closed. And that's part of what this organization does. It opens doors that are closed to people like us, because there's preconceived notions about what we can and cannot do, and preconceived thoughts about, all kinds of things about us. We get to decide what we can and cannot do. You own that as a person. And sometimes you have to advocate for yourself, and sometimes you have to have others to advocate for you. And if you need a snarky sergeant major, I'm your person, okay? I scare people. Lisa will tell you, all 100 pounds of me. I guess I'm frightening at times, okay? So I'll leave you with this. We have all been kicked to the curb. I get that in ways that I cannot even fathom. And I wish it wasn't so, but it is. And there's nothing I can do or you can do that can turn that page. It is what it is, and here that we are. But what we can do is to be hopeful. And I think hope is the best medicine that anybody can give. When a doctor wants to give me a prescription, and they always want to give me prescriptions for all kinds of things, what I really want from that doctor is hope. I want them to look me and say, Gretchen, I don't know if you're ever going to hear again. Or Gretchen, I don't know, I can't necessarily fix your brain injury. And Gretchen, I don't know what we're going to do about your PTSD. But every day technology is coming out with new stuff, and every day medication is coming out, and every day is going to this. And if you can leave someone with hope, that's the best medicine that you can give, because that's what keeps us living. That tomorrow may be our breakthrough. And thank you for all the scientists out here and the research people out here that you are giving us hope. And we need to embrace that hope. We need to get up every morning with a healthy dose of hope that today might be the day that something might change. We don't know, but how else can you live? Do you see what I'm saying? There's really no alternative. We're going to be buffaloes. We're going to turn into the storm, and we're going to go through it the best they can with a rope team attached to us, with people who are going to give us hope every day. And we're going to live our best life, and we're going to be the epitome of optimism. People are going to want to be like us. They're going to say, I don't know what that girl's eating for lunch, but that's what I want, right? I want to be like that person. Thank you so much for inviting me back today. I love you all from the bottom of my heart. You give me inspiration. You are my heroes. And I feel very, very, very connected to you. And I'm honored to be here. Thank you so very much.
She did this to me last time. How do you follow that? I mean, seriously. Thank you, Sergeant Major. And if I swear, if that message did not come through loud and clear, nothing will. So, by the way, you are the first person on my rope team, and I think I'm damn lucky to have Gretchen on my rope team. So, anyway, Gretchen is going to be around through the break. I encourage you, if you have questions or just want to get to know Gretchen, please come talk to her. As you know, she is deaf, but she's a master lip reader. So I just ask that you face her and enunciate your words very clearly, and she'll understand every word you have to say. So thank you, Gretchen. Thank you. Well, one more.